sometimes people say things, but they don't really have the power to do them, right? Unless they have enough support in all the other branches of government to get it through, in which case, theoretically, everything should be aligned with the will of the people. Welcome to Becoming American, Staying You. I'm Jessica, guiding you through the U.S. citizenship test while honoring your story and your place in America's future. Today, we're talking about how power is shared and balanced in the United States through the three branches of government and why that matters not just for the test, but for your life here. But first, let's do a quick review of our previous episode's questions. We'll also review these again at the end. Remember, you have to hear new information about 7 times before it really sticks in your memory. These reviews will be quick and they will help you remember the answer to these questions. All right, rapid fire, episode 1. The supreme law of the land is the Constitution. What does the Constitution do? It sets up the government with 3 branches and separation of power. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are those words? We the people. What is an amendment? A change to the Constitution. And what do we call the first 10 amendments in the Constitution? The Bill of Rights. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? Very good. The freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of the press, the freedom to assemble peacefully, and the ability to petition your government. Okay? There are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Describe one of them. Every citizen over the age of 18 can vote regardless of race or gender. Very good. All right. That kind of combines all 3 of the main ones without paying any poll tax. That gets all 4 of them. There you go. Number 3, what is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? The responsibility of voting or jury duty. Okay? Either of those answers will suffice. Name one right only for U.S. citizens. The right to vote or the right to run for federal office. And number 5, what are 2 ways that you as an American are planning to participate in our democracy? Excellent. Elections, running for office, voting in an election, campaigning during an election, advocating for things that are important to you and your family, for your community. You're doing great. All right, let's go to our next slide, and we are going to talk about today's questions. All right, they are: name one branch or part of the government. The next thing we'll discuss is what stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful. After that, we'll discuss who is in charge of the executive branch, who makes the federal laws. Hint, it's a different group of people than who is in charge of enforcing them. And number 5, what are the 2 different parts of Congress? All right. Name one branch of the government, right, or a part of the government. You can choose, it's like choose your own adventure around here, right? You can choose to say Congress, the legislative branch, which is Congress, okay? You could say the president or the executive branch, which is also the president, okay? He's in charge of it. And the judicial system or the courts, okay? So it's the 3 different parts, and those 3 parts of our government will keep each other in line, but we'll talk more about that later. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? Here in the US, we call that a system of checks and balances or a separation of power. Okay? Who is in charge of the executive branch? That would be the president. Who makes federal laws? And that would be Congress. And Congress is made up of two parts. Okay? And those two parts are the Senate and the House of Representatives. Okay, guys, let's go through the context of these questions and talk a little bit about where their answers come from. First off, you've got to know that in our country, we have three branches of government. Now, in some countries, power is concentrated in the hands of one leader or one party or one branch of government. And in the US system, we are specifically designed to prevent that. We have three branches of government. The first that we'll talk about is our legislative branch. Now, this is the group of people who make the laws. They see a problem, they say, oh, we should write a law to fix that. And then they fix it with a law, right? Or they try to. I would like to think their intentions are always good. So the group of people that make the laws, it's the legislative branch, and we also call that Congress. Now, Congress is split into two separate groups of people. The first one is the Senate, and there are 100 senators. It's 2 per state. That stays steady. It doesn't change. The other group is the House of Representatives, 435 people. And that is based on population. So, when the census comes around and they say, how many people are living in your household? It's not just them being nosy and trying to get after you. It's really important that you get counted during the census so that you can have the right number of representatives speaking your voice at the state and at the national levels. I know it might feel kind of invasive to have the government asking how many people live in your house, but we are the government, right? All of us. And we're participating. And this is one other way that you're participating is by making sure that your area is duly represented at the state and national levels. So get counted during the census, and it's really important. Also does a lot of stuff with funding and other things. You don't want to miss out on that. All right. The next branch we are talking about is our executive branch. The executive branch is in charge of enforcing the law. So Congress made the law, the legislative branch made the law, and the executive branch enforces the law. Now, this is led by the president. It is the president's job to make sure that the laws passed by Congress are being enforced. That's the whole purpose of the executive branch. Now, you might notice that the president signs these executive orders, right? And these are basically directions to his cabinet members or his advisors, to their agencies that they're in charge of, to start focusing the available resources on one particular issue or another. So another thing to remember is that the president is also in charge of picking the people in charge of these agencies that he can direct, right? But Congress has to approve his choices, and this is another example of checks and balances. All right, so next we have the judicial branch, and the judicial branch interprets our laws. Now, this is the Supreme Court and other federal courts. These courts ensure that laws passed by Congress and that the actions taken by the president are in line with the Constitution. You might also see them reviewing state laws to make sure they align with the Constitution, because remember, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and no other law can supersede or disagree with anything that's in the Constitution. So each branch has powers that others don't, and they then can check on each other to make sure that no one becomes too powerful. That's called checks and balances and separation of powers. So let's reflect on this for a second. Why does this even matter? Understanding the system helps you to see who to hold accountable when things aren't working, how to participate, like voting for your representatives in Congress or understanding what the president can and can't do. For example, the president can't make a law, only Congress can. And then the Supreme Court could declare that law unconstitutional, keeping the president and Congress in check. Now, the system is not perfect, okay, but it tries to balance power so that the government serves the people instead of the other way around. Another thing I just kind of want to put out, but when you know what each branch of the government can and can't do, you can start to filter through that political rhetoric and all the talking that you hear going on. Sometimes people say things, but they don't really have the power to do them, right? Unless they have enough support in all the other branches of government to get it through, in which case, theoretically, everything should be aligned with the will of the people. So don't be frightened, right? Don't be frightened when you hear people say things, because they might not have the power to do them. And if we've done a good job of electing officials that represent our values, then it's going to get checked and it's going to get balanced. All right, time for a review of today's lessons. Name one branch of our government. Good. The legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judicial branch. What stops one branch of government from getting too powerful? That's where we call it the system of checks and balances. Who is in charge of the executive branch? The president. Who makes the laws? Congress, or the legislative branch. What are the two different parts of Congress? Good. The Senate and the House of Representatives. My friends, we are all done for today. I am sorry about the arrow running back and forth. I will fix my screen so that I'm not doing that in the next episode. But thank you for coming back. Thank you for wanting to join us. We're so excited to have you as part of the squad. That's a wrap on episode 3 of Becoming American Staying You. If you'd like to share this with a friend who's also preparing for the test, that would be lovely. But honestly, if this just finds you, that's good enough for me, right? That's why I'm doing it. Remember, knowing how your government works helps you know your power as a citizen. There's so many protections that you have that you can use to make this community a better place. Let's pass that test. Keep your roots. We're making a better America. See you next time. Hey, my friends, let's do a quick review of the questions of the day. All right, number 1, name one of the branches of our government. Awesome. Executive, legislative, judicial, right? President, Congress, the court, you're doing great. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? Excellent. That's our system of checks and balances and the separation of power. Who is in charge of the executive branch? Very good. The president. Who makes federal laws? Very good. Congress, right? What are the two parts of Congress? The Senate and the House of Representatives. Very good. Okay, moving on to episode 2's practice questions. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? Very good. Freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, assembly, and petitioning your government. Very good. Of the 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote, can you describe one of them? Excellent. All citizens over 18 can vote with no poll tax, regardless of race or gender. Very good. Number 3, what is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? That's it. Jury duty and voting. Number 4, name one right that is only for United States citizens. Very good. Voting or running for a federal office. And finally, what are 2 ways that you are looking forward to participating in the American democracy? that is going to be wonderful. Voting, running for office, helping with a campaign, advocating for issues that are important to you, you're going to do great. All right, and all the way back to episode 1, what is the supreme law of the land? Our Constitution. Very good. What does that Constitution do? It sets up our government. Very nice. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are those words? We the people. Very good. What is an amendment? A change to the wording in the Constitution. Very good. What do we call those first 10 amendments to the Constitution? The Bill of Rights. Great job, everybody. Hey, everybody. The questions and answers in this episode come directly from the official U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, the USCIS Civics Test Study Materials. We've done our best to present them accurately and in context. This podcast is for educational practice purposes only. If you have a specific legal question or unique circumstances about your citizenship application, it's a good idea to seek guidance from a qualified immigration attorney or accredited representative. Your journey is important. Make sure you have the right support every step of the way.